Alright, so at the end of Chapter 117, it has been set up that Drive Knight is going to be taking on Nyan. And this fight in particular is extremely interesting because it doesn't happen in the webcomic. Nyan is an entirely new character in the manga, and Drive Knight's storyline here doesn't originally exist. So the outcome is a complete unknown to everyone. So this is a great time for us to speculate about what's going to happen. And I mean, why not? The odds of it getting to this point were already kind of slim, as most of us thought that Genos was going to show up to save the day. So we know a lot more about Nyan than we do about Drive Knight. So let's just go over him first and figure out how strong he is, more or less. Now, of course, we know he is a cadre of the Monster Association and has a disaster level of Dragon. And he seems to excel in speed. I mean, most of the cadres are pretty fast, but I feel an emphasis is placed on Nyan's speed more so than the other heroes, like especially the feats he has in Chapter 116 against the support team. And him being a cat and all probably adds to him being one of the faster cadres. It's very possible he could be the fastest, although it's difficult to say for sure at this point. His main method of attack seems to be his claws, which are obviously sharp as hell. So far, his best feat with these are low diffing Puri Puri Prisoner, but him taking out Prisoner was before his bristle armor upgrade, and he also wasn't able to put him down for good. So like, if we compare this to what Garo recently did to a Prisoner with bristle armor, it's possible this could mean Nyan is just straight up weaker than Garo currently is, debatably. Nyan also had issues putting down the support team members for good. Now, he states that maybe he was being too gentle, and we also see him yawning when he initially attacks Prisoner, so maybe Nyan is just too lax with his attacks, and it's like a lack of effort rather than a lack of power. As for his durability, well, that's pretty crazy too. Like, Gear Spur's S-Class level Esper debris spike attack on him didn't really do anything, like not even leave a scratch on him. But there is one thing that could show us the threat that Drive Knight poses to Nyan, as the shuriken shield thing that Drive Knight threw at him in Chapter 117 forced Nyan to dodge it. So we've seen Nyan not really care about the weapons of the support team members, and granted, they are an S-Class, but this is still pretty telling that Nyan dodged it because he knew that it would have likely ruined him if he didn't. We also can't forget he has the ability to become extremely thin, which is pretty significant as we've seen him use it in a versatile way to his advantage. So all in all, Nyan is pretty powerful and worthy of being a cadre for sure, but he doesn't exactly have the overwhelming power factor that some of the others do, and he doesn't really have a lot of great feats on his side. He's mainly just been picking on people that are weaker than him so far. So let's go into Drive Knight for a little bit. So before this, he only really has one feat, and it's when he interrogates those tiger-level fodder monsters from the Monster Association. He was strong enough to rip off their heads and easily sliced up multiple of them, but like I said, they are tigers, and this doesn't really show much about his strength as an S-Class hero. He's also shown he has the ability to transform with some kind of like nanotech stuff, I guess, that comes from the box that he carries. And so far, we've seen him go into a centaur-like form, as well as produce a long sword, which he calls Silver. And at the end of Chapter 117, he says he's going to use his Lance transformation, which we haven't seen him use yet. And these things go along with like a Knight theme, you know, because like Drive Knight. But aside from that, Drive Knight has some added hype. As where Second Gar said, he's never lost a fight. Now, that is cool and all, and it's impressive, but I'm sure a lot of S-Class heroes have never lost a fight yet either. And we don't really know what his track record is like, meaning that it could have been all tigers and demons and like no dragons, you know what I mean? But his confidence and willingness to go after Nyan the way that he does at the end of Chapter 117 could be very telling of how much of a beast he is. I mean, he didn't really have to go after Nyan. He could have just pieced out and not bothered, especially if him being G5 is true. Which of course I think it is, but please check out my Drive Knight Double Agent Theory video if you haven't already. So now let's get into what I think is going to happen in this fight. So straight up, Drive Knight is going to completely beast Nyan. Like maybe Nyan will have a moment or two, but aside from that, it will be a complete wash for Drive Knight. And there's a few things that lead me to believe this. So first of all, Nyan has had his moments already. He's been shown to be very strong in these last 2 chapters and has that menacing factor to him. And he's also established that he's left the Monster Association. Like he's already quit. Of course, because after his encounter with Saitama. But like I also said, he's been picking on people much weaker than him. And I think he's going to get his just desserts against Drive Knight. I mean, isn't that the trope of like battle manga and stuff like this? Like when we see a villain like this, like essentially picking on people and having these moments where it seems like all hope is lost. And then the hero shows up to save the day. At this point, it's not usually like a competitive fight. It's like a complete wash. So I think that's going to happen here. Although I could be wrong because, you know, One Punch Man and Murata and One, they do subvert tropes from time to time. But I think this is going to play out more so streamlined than other moments. And also, Drive Knight needs some feats of power. And he needs a serious win as well. Like most of the S-Class heroes so far have amazing displays of power and some impressive wins to them, but Drive Knight just doesn't. I mean, hell, we even know Blast took down Elder Centipede. So Nyan is essentially going to job to Drive Knight here, and also give him some serious hype in the process. Like, Drive Knight defeating Nyan is going to allow the story to continue as it does in the webcomic, since Drive Knight, Nyan, and even Waganma are not in the original story. So this means after Drive Knight defeats Nyan, he will personally escort Waganma back to the Hero Association. He may even take the support team with him, you know, since they are just completely done at this point, and they can't really fight anymore after the thrashing that Nyan gave them. And they also aren't in the webcomic either. So they kind of need to get out of the picture as well, you know, considering what's going to happen soon. And don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, of course. So Drive Knight winning just fixes a lot of things. Like, also Drive Knight showing up in the first place brings the theory of him being G5 closer to being true, which means Drive Knight is a part of the organization most likely, and him proving to be extremely powerful, you know, in this case if he does take out Nyan, will give them a heavy hitter and make the organization a powerful faction, as they are for sure going to be a future storyline down the road. So I'm thinking, like, if Drive Knight does take out Nyan in a very impressive fashion, this is proving that he's likely, I don't know, probably like a high dragon. I mean, we can assume that he's got to be up there in power. I mean, at the minimum, he's going to be a demon, like I said, because with the S-Class hero, the power scale comparative that the Hero Association has for them, and it just seems like he's going to be rather powerful. Just the hype. You know, I think it would be a little weird if all of this paid off for him to just be like as strong as, like, I don't know, Genos or Puri Puri Prisoner. Not counting current Daedric Genos, of course. Now, there is one other option that I see happening here, because, of course, there's the possibility that Drive Knight is not strong enough to take on Nyan, and that is the possibility that Genos still shows up. Because there still is the chance that he is going to come at this time. I mean, I talked about it in my previous video, who's going to fight Nyan, and we saw back in chapter 106, I think the last time we saw Genos, he was alerted by the punch that Saitama gave to Overgrown Rover, and he speculated that, hey, is that possibly, Master? Is that Saitama who's over there? Because the whole original point of Genos being at Saitama's apartment is because he was waiting for him. So if he realizes that, oh, maybe he's already in the battle, maybe he's at the Monster Association, let me go over there and check it out for myself. So maybe Nyan gets the upper hand on Drive Knight, and then Genos shows up to save the day, and then they team up to take on Nyan. Because Genos shares a lot of similarities to Drive Knight in this particular instance, as where Genos is not originally in Saitama's apartment in the webcomic. He's with Bang and Bomb. So his fate and his storyline is still a complete unknown at this point as well. And also, you know, Genos doesn't really have that big win yet. Now, he does have good wins, and certainly more so than Drive Knight, but he doesn't have, like, that huge, big victory, especially over a dragon, especially a cadre like Nyan. So this would be able to help Genos in that aspect, as well as we get to see him use his new Daedric armor upgrade, which has been hyped to hell, at least by Dr. Gusano back in Chapter 93. So that would be cool, but I more so think that this is probably just going to be Drive Night's show. But like I said, there is the chance Genos would come up, and I'm happy with either. But that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know what you think is going to happen, guys. Do you think Drive Night is going to completely wash Nyan? Or do you think it's going to be competitive? Or do you think Genos is going to show up and that they're going to team up to take him down? Let me know. And if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. Gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.